What's good, guys? Your good sister's back. We're back with another episode in season 2. And, okay, I'm going to be honest. So, I'm pretty sure that there are people listening to this. More so, uh, more so than watching like on YouTube. And I say that because I specifically know that I haven't been sharing. And I feel like I need to do that. But anyways, if you're listening and if you're watching and you just somehow come across, this video, shout out to you. And if you've been here for a minute and you done popped up in season 2 with your girl, thank you. And what's good, fam? My good bro, my good sis. How you feeling today? It's a little, it's given sunny. It's given the sun is trying to peek out, It's trying to give that because it was definitely cloudy. It was given like a cloudy with no chance of rain. I might, pull up on you and then like go away. Like that was the weather that it was giving when I woke up this rising. And we're probably peaking at a good 1:30 with a good little bit of sunlight or whatever. And yeah, I just hope that you're having an amazing day. And it's the day after hump day and the day before, thanking God that it's the weekend. So nonetheless, you are closer. You are probably hours, minutes, maybe a day or so closer to that vacation. You about to be on some type of cruise this weekend. You about to step out. And if you about to step out and be outside, for a couple of days, as you should, as you please, and then if your kids is giving you a run for your money and a run for your energy, it's gonna be okay because they're going back to school on Monday. And yeah, you got this. You got this. Season 2, we here, okay? And we here back like we did leave. We left, but we are here. We left and we came back. We needed a break, had a hiatus. It's given hibernation, but not for like a season. It was only for a few weeks, maybe a total of a month. But nonetheless, we're back, okay? And today what we're going to get into is kind of like I'm gonna let God lead this, to be real, because your girl has been going through it these past couple of weeks and slick a few days, and it's giving how much strength do you really have to complete the assignment to get well done? How much strength and energy do you have to continue with the assignment and to finish it, execute it all the way through for you to get a well done? And we're still going to be hitting on a few things, of course, of what our theme is. We are still going to be talking about how we can trigger our trauma, all through this. And it's really about, that's really what this is about, is really using your voice in every using your voice through and in every situation that you're in. We really do get comfortable with our silence and our suffering, and that is what's really killing us. Since the last episode has been uploaded, and this can like somewhat be somewhat in a way of imposter syndrome and me getting in the way of myself. And I say that because whether it's intentional or sub or subconsciously happening, like an event is happening, and I don't realize that I have gone into this state of like into this state of either depression, have gone into this state of where I'm feeling like I need to detach myself or separate myself creatively or whatever it may be. Um, if I'm whatever those particular moments are, there are times when I'm intentional about when I want not necessarily post, but it can be anything creatively. So if I have an assignment or whatever and I know that I have a deadline, like okay, like I was given this particular project and it needs to be done, and I have to put my emotions or whatever aside. That is intentional. That is something that has like a purpose, standpoint, deadline. It has to be done regardless. If there is anything that that I have going on personally, in a sense, I do feel like I should still have that, or us as people should still have that kind of mentality, but it's harder to um move forward with because you want to make sure that you're putting your all into it. And that's how I kind of feel. If that's really how I operate. Like if my all is not into it, then I'm not doing it. If yeah, that's really what that is. Like if I'm not 100% like, yeah, let's get it, let's do this thing or whatever, I'm all like then I'm all out. Like now I want to know more so of the logistics before I'm putting my foot, like before I jump into the pool, before I put myself in the water. Like that is what that is like. And when it's my projects or my passions, and I guess you can say different hobbies that I'm into or whatever, whether it's creatively or just coming from a business standpoint or educational, like it can be from anything. I feel like in a sense, some of that kind of perspective does, you know, finds its way through. And then there are other times where it's like, okay, like I'm not feeling it or whatever this week, so I can't put nothing out, or um, I can't like I'm not putting nothing out, or I'm gonna just take a break from recording or whatever, and I'm just gonna journal, or I'm just going to like fast, or just anything. And I feel like sometimes that takes away from, on one hand, I feel like it takes away from the the purpose, but I really believe like it kind of it more so takes away from the end goal, like of the goal that you're trying to reach, when it comes to this particular project or whatever. And I feel like it can take away because we don't realize that when we get into this depressive state, that we're taken away from our craft. But at the same time, we need that kind of like motivation and fire to actually stick through it. And sometimes we don't know how long we're going to get out of this like depressive state. And it sucks when we've been in it too long. And now we're being looked at as if like we're like we're lackadaisical, we're lacking in certain areas, we're not showing up for people, we're not showing up for ourselves, we're not taking care of ourselves, and with us not doing so, we don't want to do anymore, or we're inconsistent, and it's just like really all of these things, and it's like bruh, like I need a moment. Like I don't know how long this moment is going to be, but I need to recollect like my thoughts. I need to refocus. I need to reground, and in order for me to get to that moment to move forward and to proceed, I need to honor what's happening. Like I can't just hold, like I need to feel everything that I'm feeling in this moment, whatever it is, so that I can really navigate through how to get to that goal, or whatever it is that I'm trying to reach, or so that I can fulfill my assignment. And that's kind of how it's been for me. That typically is how it goes for me. And I'm learning to navigate and transition um how long I'm in it, because of certain acceptances that I had to come across, and certain things that I kind of had to receive in the way to where, whether it was like in a different point of view, or I guess you can say also therapy. Like I know that certain, like when you make the decision to go to therapy or whatever, it's kind of a third party, not necessarily a third party, but it's another resource that's giving you an outlet to really try to find a way to navigate through your journey without being in a certain place for a very longer time when you're doing it by yourself. Like when you have assistance, you're able to, like when you have assistance with getting through something, you have a better chance of being able to go through something or whatever, and it probably, like, and you can pick back up within like a day or two, rather than if you was doing it by yourself and you suffer from different, whether it's mental or emotional illnesses, different disorders or whatever, or it's just something that that you're accustomed to because it works out for you. You will end up tending to be in that dark space, in that storm, whatever it is that you call it. You'll be in that moment for a very, very long time. Sometimes it can be a month, sometimes it can be 3 months, 6 months, or whatever, but you're still pushing through. But in the way that you're doing it is probably dismissive, when it's, the outside looking in, like, that you're still not happy, or you're still not comfortable with where you're at, but you know that you still got to push through to get through it, but you're kind of settling, or you're not really doing something or things that you really need to do. And to get out of what you're in, so that you can be happy and actually do what you need to do to complete it. And when that happens, I don't think it's I think sometimes it's really like a level of understanding where different people, whether it's a someone close to home or not, not unless they experience it firsthand. They don't know truly what it is that you're going through and how you're healing or trying to get through it. And then it becomes harder for a person to understand, um, because they too don't know how to honor their feelings. And because, you know, a person or two is so used to putting other people's well, not even feelings, they are able to have a workload and to work through that. They, like, if it's a person that um works through their pain, or you know works out through their pain, and they schedule themselves all these hours to where they're like booked up and busy. They don't give themselves enough time to reflect. They don't give themselves enough time to heal or to honor what it is that they're experiencing and going through, and what they feel. And um, they kind of project that onto other people to, like, you just got to get out of this or whatever, or I don't, or they never seen you in this place too. So they have like a lot of questions. Like, they have a lot of questions, but they're not talking to you about it. They're not talking through it with you. They're being passive, and it's like, hey, like, you good? Like, hey, do you want to go out? Or, hey, you know, I remember this part of, I remember a few months ago you said that you wasn't, how are things going now? And it's like, you have all these questions because you are, in a way, you see or have an indication that something is not right, but you're not asking the proper questions to really understand and know what the person is going through. Or because of how this approaches, and maybe the person going through knows how you are as well, um it makes you question if you have truly, if your foundation is built on a safe space to be that vulnerable and to share certain things or whatever that yourself or the other person is going through, to even like want to speak up about it, to even go through that with you. And if your relationship or your foundation of your relationship is not built on that, then a person is going to constantly feel like a burden. A person is going to feel like they are dumping on you or feeling guilty about sharing what it is that they're going through, because the foundation is not built around that. It's not built on that, to heal together, to work through it together, to fix it together. It's built on pretty much everything else. And it becomes harder for a person to really share what it is that they're experiencing or going through, because they already feel alone in it and they don't know who to go to. And when you do have that third party or whatever, it does make you feel, whether that's therapy or a person, it does give you some type of spark of hope, and it gives you a level of comfort to know that, like, okay, like, maybe I can get used to this, but even though, although I feel alone, maybe I can get used to this. Although I've been in this place for a long time, maybe I won't be in it as long as I have been. And so it does spark that kind of transition and that kind of shift. And so for the past few weeks, I have been accepting how things will be moving forward, because of how things are being presented to me now. So, context. Have, I mean, it's going to feel like I'm talking to myself, but have you ever felt like, while you were like growing up and you were like, you're at your adult age, you're at your adult age now, and you've had these different feelings of neglect, abandonment, you know, all of the things, and um, unloved, or, you know, felt like you have gone through like a loss of identity, you didn't know who you was, or you felt like, you know, you couldn't express yourself, just all these different things, right? And um you know, you reflected on some of these things, and you know that you've experienced it or you've thought it, and then, you know, later on down the years, you have some of those same thoughts, but you like question it as if it was like something else. And so you're like, nah, like, okay. So you're a person that have been raised or have been in this kind of hardship, whether it's like with your family, friends, whomever, and you felt like you just had a like no sense of self, like loss of identity. You pretty much keep everything bottled in. You're like a firecracker or whatever, and you just have a hard time expressing yourself. So it's that because you've been told all these years that, you know, how you felt, you know, didn't matter, or, you know, you felt you found other places and other people or whatever to share or to cultivate this particular love that you've always wanted because you felt unloved, unworthy, or whatever. But you probably never thought that you were neglected or abandoned, or never thought that you never wasn't wanted. You know what I mean? So it's, you felt this particular way of unworthiness like your entire life. And when you have conversations with different people or whatever, and some of these other feelings of neglect, abandonment, or whatever starts to creep in, you second guessing, you like, nah, like, man, nah. But do I feel this way? Like, now your question, like, do I really feel this way because this happened to me? Do I feel this way because this is what a person said to me or whatever? And you know, you take that for what it is because you're reflecting on it and you're slowly but surely becoming self-aware. And then it's like, all right, let me put a pin in that. Let me keep going on with life. I'm just going to take what it is that I know, and I'm not going to like really touch on that. Follow. So you're not going to touch on that, but you're going to continue to move forward with what you already know, whether that's unworthiness or whatever. So, few years later, you know, you kind of start, you're much more mature, you're much older now, in the conversations that you're having with these different people in your life, that you have felt this particular way all your life. Certain things starts to be brought up, and then when you have the conversation, like say for instance, while we're reflecting through this context, right, that moment of you feeling like you were unworthy, and you know that that's what that is because you have felt this your entire life. Let's say that that was like in your late 20s, like your mid late 20s or whatever. And so you've come to acceptance with that, and the other things, whether it was like neglect, abandonment, whatever, you know, those other feelings starts to creep in right when you've accepted what it is your entire life, right? And then you push it away. So now this other segment of your life, you're in your, let's say, early 30s, mid 30s, early mid 30s, and while you are navigating all the things that you've already accepted to move on with your life, the things that you put a pin in that you didn't really like accept because you've never really felt that before, but it starts to creep in because you're hearing or you're seeing certain patterns, how people are treating you. You're starting to see how people are treating you, how people are talking to you, how things are like actually how they're not showing up for you, supporting you, or whatever the case may be. It's popping up in this particular area to where it's like, am I like, now you start to question yourself, like, am I in denial? And not really in denial, but it's like, it's where it's a moment where you like taken aback and you listen and you listening to the you're listening to this person, and you like, okay, and it's a whole bunch of different things. Like it can be, I don't even, whatever pops up in your head as an example, we can use that, because I have so many different examples, but it can be anything that you're like experiencing in this moment, or when you like, for instance, like talking to your parents, talking to your loved ones, like anybody, your friends or whatever, and something then like triggers these other feelings that you've put a pin in, for a very long time and never like really reflected on and touched on. And it's because it's really what that is. Like whatever it is that they're saying to you, they are actually stating the truth. Whether it's the truth, their truth, or a fact of what happened in the past, they're bringing it to you for you to, in which I'm not in no way saying that this is healthy or toxic or whatever, because it can then essentially like be negative. It really can. It can turn out bad. And when they present this certain thing to you, and you're left with you're kind of left with this information as you take it as you please. It's like, but I don't have any pleasure into receiving this information that you never loved me, or you've never liked me, or you never wanted me, or you never wanted to be with me. And we've been a part of each other's lives for how long? And you're just now saying this? It's given, you really didn't want to waste your time, but you used me for the benefit of you, and you're now giving me this information that I have to just run with. Not cool, but all right. Like, let's see how we're gonna bounce back from this. And yeah. And then it makes you feel like you're blindsided. It makes you feel like you kind of have been left in the dark. And when we have conversations with different people, we have this, I feel like it is a certain voice in our head that be like, you know okay, with this particular information I can't talk to this person about, but I can talk to them. So I'm gonna talk, I'm gonna probably like touch on it or whatever, see if we can see where it goes. Like if it touches the surface, all right, cool. If it gets deeper, okay, great, because now we can get to the root, we can get somewhere. But when you're talking to a person that's presenting you this information, that's their particular truth that you've probably never known of, but you started to feel these things because of how they was mistreating you, it's like now that you can put context with it and you can kind of relate to it and it's very close to home, that's where it becomes like you feel like now, because it was presented to you in that way, like because of how it was presented to you, you are not given an option to even like deal with it. You're not given an option to deal with it, to talk through it, to Like, you're not given none of that, right? And so, in a sense, on top of you already feeling like these feelings that you've already felt before, you can now put context with it. It's going to be hard to believe and hard to accept, because it's like, bro, I didn't really think it was that. But now you have to accept that because it was their truth and that's what they was going through. Now it's like, either I can take it for what it is. Like, I can take it for that this is their truth. But because it's their truth, like, are they open? Are they open to getting deeper with me about this? Because I really need to, like, figure this out. Or I need to figure out how I'm going to navigate through the rest of my life feeling this particular way. Or navigating how I have to now deal with you. And it sucks to say, but I feel like a lot of living parents with a lot of, so I just ordered, and I can't wait until it comes in, because it's a few books, child, that be having your brain in like a freaking whirlwind. And one of them is adult children with emotionally with emotion adult children with emotionally immature parents. And the other one is All About Love by Bell Hooks. And though, well, I've had All About Love, but adult children with emotionally immature parents, like, when that come in, child, it's probably gonna take this Triggering Our Trauma series through a loop, and it's gonna be like wild. But nonetheless, like, when going back to the point I was making, like, when you're having conversations with certain people, like what I was saying was, and it sucks for adult children with those kind of parents, and it also sucks for people that have been in relationships for a very long time, and they end up getting a divorce or whatever, or it's a form of resentment, and so they stay. Like, it's all these different things, and I feel like those two types of relationships are um I feel like those are the main relationships that kind of feel that kind of experience what I'm talking about, like hard throttle. And I say that because I'm experiencing it. I'm experiencing it in a different way, but it some of the things that I have felt before, it was one of those things that I had to, like, accept. The only difference is, you know, and maybe it will change, maybe it will be a shift, I don't know. I haven't seen it within the past couple of weeks, but I wasn't given a chance to actually, like, really go deeper with that. Um, and to be honest, I don't think I'm gonna be given a chance to do so. Not unless, yeah, not unless, child, I don't even know. I don't know. I was about to say not unless, it's a therapist here, or, you know, it's an intervention happening. But shoot, I don't even think that is going to, like, even, it may help, but sometimes I don't be feeling like it's going to help. Not unless, shoot, I mean, God forbid, I would not wish that on nobody, that, God strikes a home or whatever, because he really got the power to do so. But I don't know what would, yeah, I don't know what would play a factor in that, for the shift to actually happen in that way, for it to feel like it's kind of fair. And maybe, it is real life. Life just isn't fair. Yep. Just life isn't fair. But after having this realization, right? And going through, my emotions revolving around this type of like relationship, uh, like all of it, the relationship, seeing like, um, okay, like now that I have this information, how am I gonna move forward or whatever? Now I'm gonna have to reflect deep. Like now I have to go even much more so in a deeper reflection. Having to become even more self-aware in this space. Um, Mind you, I already got a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm dealing with that I'm trying to get through. And to be laid on this particular load, it's like, bro, like it just seemed like it's one thing after the next. And I've done, a lot of praying. I've done a lot of seeking, of God's word when it comes to this particular moment. And it's one of those places where, it's one of those things where you really do have to, like, especially when you don't have the answers, when you don't have the answers, when the answers is not coming fast enough, or for you to like really like navigate the way that you want to, you really gotta see God, bro. It's one of those things where like if it ain't nothing else that you gotta do, you got to pray. Like you gonna have to like ball out on your knees and just pray to God that I don't have the answers. God, can you send someone? Um, can you send someone to give me like a word, to hoping that you go to church on Sunday after been given a load, and that message is for you, okay? Or paying attention to the conversations that you having with like your co-workers or your friends or whomever, and it's like, okay, got confirmation. Sometimes you may even have to go back, in which I did, but having to go back or whatever and find those people that like really like been down for you from like the beginning, those people that you haven't talked to in like years, and like just touching on a few things or whatever about touching on a few things about how the years have been, pretty much catching up and seeing where that conversation leads. Like you will end up getting like gems, like you would end up getting gems dropped down and certain reminders that you haven't heard in like years. You know what I mean? From a person that you haven't spoken to in a very long time. And then instantly you would feel like, it's a total like 180 or even 360. It's a whole total turnaround and it changes your life. Or it change like, not that it changes your life temporarily, but you're given another perspective, or you're given a tool that you didn't know that you have within yourself to actually like, all right, like I can take that and I can run with it, and I can take another step or two, another 5 steps, another move, another drive or whatever out of this space that I'm in. And I received a lot of confirmation about about where I'm at right now, and about what I've been experiencing these past couple of weeks. And if you're a person like me who not necessarily, well, yeah, I was gonna say like you're a people pleaser. You're a people pleaser, but you're a people pleaser and you're a server. And so so that's another thing. Like You're not, when I say a people pleaser, I'm not saying that you're a yes man or a yes woman. When I use, personally, in this particular conversation, when I use people pleaser, I'm specifically talking about a person who serves and who often wants to give. And sometimes we in this space where we tend to overextend ourselves. Sometimes we overextend ourselves to exhaustion, to where we are left empty, and we're still giving parts of ourselves that we can't like give. And so in result of that, it becomes like exhausted. You become, it's a form of exhaustion, it's a form of drain, it's emotionally draining. You feel as though maybe the relationship or whatever is not reciprocal, and all of these things, and so if you're a person like that, or if you're a person that is the light of the party, and you just seem like all of the things that you're going through or whatever, some way somehow it's kind of like it's shifting your perspective, it's dimming your light in a way. All of these things that you've been going through, you didn't realize that you're slowly but surely building up this wall, or you're pulling yourself away. And granted, you still have this light, but you've let your experiences change that. You let that affect you, and you let that affect you in a way to where it's like, you know, you used to be the life of the party. Everybody still comes to you with their problems because they can trust you. But now you're always serious. You're always serious. I mean, if you have the energy to do so, you with it, but you not all in like you used to. You Yeah, you have lost some type of sense of humor, uh and you're sitting beside your inner child. Like, you're sitting beside your inner child, and she like, or he is like, hey, what you doing here? I haven't seen you in a while. Is life good? And you like, nah. Like, you really talking to your younger self, and you like, nah. I don't want you to grow older no more. Like, you guys are sitting bright, y'all sitting side by side, having a full blown conversation. Slick, this was a dream that I had. You guys are sitting full blown side by side with one another, and you guys are having a full blown conversation about your adult life and all of the things that you went through as a child, and how, and y'all are talking about silver lining. You guys are trying to figure out a silver lining. And it seems like there's no way to get to that, or to even touch it, to get around that. Like, there's no way. And it just seems like it becomes harder and harder and harder. And because it becomes harder, you begin to feel comfortable that things are not going to change. Things are not going to get better. And then or that things can change. It's just not uh you just hope that it changes, I guess, in a sense, the way that you want it to, but it's not. And this is the form of this is where hope begins to dwindle. This is where hopes becomes loss. This is where you have to do a lot of acceptance of things that you don't want to. This is where you start to reflect on how things are and how things may be. And although you do control, um, well, because we don't know the future and we don't know what it may entail or may hold, we do have control in how we get there. I feel like, in a sense, like we have control in how we navigate now so that we can still end up getting the things that we need. And although we have went through all of these things, it's our opportunity in our control to make sure that we don't constantly relive that. And that's why we have triggering our trauma. That's why we have these conversations and speak out on things that we're going through and experiencing. That's why we find other tools to really navigate what it is that we're going through, we can so that we can break these narratives of generational cycles and curses, or breaking these habits or whatever that we feel like we've been accepting our entire life, and knowing that in certain ways that we necessarily didn't open it, but like like there were certain things that we probably didn't accept, that but it was projected onto us. It was something that we were either told or felt like, or it was either something that we was told that we need to go through or experience because of what was said to us, how we was raised, how we lived our entire lives, or um we saw how certain things were playing out and we felt like we needed to live up to that particular expectation, not knowing or not being equipped enough and having the tools or whatever to use that and to change that when we were old enough to make those decisions. And then we're not, and then to add, we're not even motivated or pushed to do things differently because of how things are projected onto us. So we feel uh guilty if we change our mind. We feel we're we yeah, we feel guilty, we feel resentment, we feel bitter, like, and then we get all of these particular attacks from anybody that is not down, like that's not down with the change, that's not down with the adjustment. They like, bro, what you got going on? What is you doing? And you still feel the sense of that pattern or that trigger that you've been accustomed to, that you've been told that it has to be this way. And it's like, I don't have to accept that. And you have to keep reminding yourself that you don't need to. I want to go back really quick to the type of person you may be, because if you are the list of people that I've mentioned earlier, like people pleasing and overextending yourself and everything, you have kind of been like you have been in this place to where other people, um, you have lived and breathed this certain standard that you had to always put other people before you, and you've never put yourself first. And when you did, it was only temporarily. And you may or may not know how to go to cultivate a true sense of self-preservation and self-love the way that you thought you may have, because all your life you have been told that you had to take care of other people. And then if you wasn't told that, you was shown that, and you could have been shown that through your mother, your grandmother, whoever raised you, whoever did love on you in that particular way. But not only did you see how your mother served, how your grandmother served, or your family, friends, close friends, or whomever that you grew up with, like during that time frame, not only was you shown that, you also didn't see where they was loving on themselves. So we have a hard time we have a hard time finding a balance when it comes to that. So the most healthiest way is to serve and to pour back into yourself. You know how you give and take in a relationship? You have to give it. Okay, it's give and take in the most healthiest way in a relationship. We are not talking about taking advantage of people or doing things for the benefit of ourselves. We're talking about like being generous and genuine with serving and giving to other people we have because we want to and because we love that person or because we really want to see greatness and better for other people. That's why we do certain things that's why we do some of the things and certain things for other people. And we don't look for that in return. But we do know that when we give in that same sense, it's also the okay to give that to myself as well, to treat myself better than how I've been treated or how I have thought that I'm supposed to treat myself, or to take moments out of my schedule or with no schedule, and to go with the flow of that, to go at my pace. That is okay. And to not let other people, anybody, control that or make you feel you're lacking in a certain area because you're not living to their expectation. And so going back to where I left off at, the loss of hope and the grieving and the hard way in trying to navigate how to move forward from receiving information that you are taken aback from. I'll say that. Or the information that you have been kind of like told for a while, like not even told, like you was just told or whatever, certain things that you've kind of felt for a while, but you just didn't think that it was kind of true or whatever, or it was just creeping in, and it was something that you really did have to doubt because you didn't know if it was your inner voice or if it was a voice that you heard before that you haven't heard in a long time. And it wasn't until the message actually was given to you to where you can put those voices together and be like, damn, that was you. Be like, oh, that was you, that was your voice, that wasn't mine. That's why I felt the way that I did. And so that feeling was true. Like, dang, like, okay. And now we can't talk about it no more. Now we can't talk about my feelings, but we can talk about how you felt the entire time. Like, we can now talk about how you felt this entire relationship. Okay. Well, goddamn. Like, you settled. Like, okay. You really had a guard up. Like, oh, you couldn't tell me this early on for whatever reason. And so now you put it on me to deal with, and now you don't want to hear how I feel about it. Okay, well then, like, it's given F you. F you is giving F your feelings. I'm gonna just leave this here with you. And yeah, here you go. Like, wait, I didn't act. Sir, ma'am, excuse me. I asked for this with no cheese. Can you take this back? Oh, so now I can't take it. Well, if I take it back, you're gonna have to pay. I didn't even I didn't order this, and it's not my fault, and I'm not paying for that. Like, it's given all of that, and it's also given. They're gonna still leave it there, and they looking at you like okay, you're still gonna eat it and pay for that, and it's like I'm not, but I'll pay for this water that I actually touched and opened, and I'm gonna walk away and feel very uncomfortable. Like, I'm never coming back here again. Like, F this restaurant and F that server. I'm not leaving a tip. Because clearly you're not doing your job. Anyways. And as I'm going on with this, it's literally making sense. And it's really some bullshit. Like, that's wild. Anyways, for me to have gone, I need to be stopped. Okay. That was really that was a really good scenario. That was a good example that was a great now I'm using why I'm using all these different words for what I just said. That was a great analogy though, for real. That was really a great analogy. You have been presented something that you did not ask for, except like even if you did ask for it, right? You still like there's a certain acceptance like, okay, like either I'm gonna pay for it and I'm gonna eat it, or I'm gonna, like, I still want it. I just didn't ask for the cheese, so can I take it back? And it's like now it's a constant fight about what the other person can do. And it's like, bro, this is your job. Like, I told you what I ordered and you brought me back something else. You brought me something back what I wanted with what I didn't ask for. Like, first of all, if I eat this, I'm gonna like die. That's like a person that has a peanut allergy and they say like, "Hey, can I have this salad without cashews or peanuts or whatever?" Or like anything. And like because the pro because the cashews, the nuts, the almonds, the whatever touch the lettuce. I'm just using something basic that kind of like be thrown on salad that shouldn't be in salad. But nonetheless, it's given like slick. They really can't even eat the salad at all because it was like slick. The lettuce is still lettuce, but the peanut, so the protein that touched it, like it's given. It can't be like you can't use that. So, like whatever, like that can be anything. That can be anything. Like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like all you had to do was just put jelly on the sandwich. Just jelly on the bread would have been fine. And maybe the truth of what you wanted to add to that was taking like the crust off. And granted, I didn't ask for the crust to be taken off, but at least it still has jelly on it. But you present something that like I really can't like use at all. Okay, and now I think I'm really done with the analogy because it was gonna keep going. That shit was still wild though, because that was really good. That was really good. And it again, even thinking about that, it sucks because now it's unfair. The person like you have to like leave from this particular space and figure out like, bro, like, am I gonna eat somewhere else? Or like, you lost your appetite because you had a craving for something exactly of what you wanted and you did not get it. And now you gotta be looking for that somewhere else. And don't nobody got time to be doing. I mean, we'll make time because we hungry, we need to eat, but don't nobody got time to be doing all of that when you dealing with other people and you trying to have a conversation about healing or whatever, and you realizing like this, like, bro, like, you sitting here talking about how you want all these things, but you ain't going, like, what? You just admitted that you're not going to do the work. Don't want to be in a relationship with nobody that don't want to put in. Oh, so all you got is bare minimum? At this point, I don't care how old you are. That's all you got? Go to God. Okay. Cause go to God with that. Not me. Cause man, we still got work to do while we here before Jesus come back. See? Another analogy. See? Boy, it just keep going. Like, don't come with me. Don't come to me with the bare minimum. The same way that you want me to show up, okay, do that too. And you talking about, boy, kind of mess. What? What? Are you kidding me? Men, don't go to your wife or girl, boy, whoever. Don't go to your partner. Do not. If you guys are having a conversation about something that is like really like, let's say a non-negotiable or like a deal breaker, this can like make or break your relationship, and you come back with something that you've been feeling or should have been told years ago, and you now say that you are not going to do anything about it, F you. And same thing for women. If you guys are manipulating, you're like, I don't, bro, just at this point was the papers already signed and not filed? Like, was the papers like not given to y'all's attorney? Like, I'm confused. At this point, can you even disown, I've heard, bro, I wish I had my computer. Like, how you like divorcing any type of title of a relationship is a real thing. There's going to come a point in your life where you just may have to divorce your parents. A lot of us that is in this, I'm not even going to say era, but my generation, I'm sorry, but we are really definitely doing a lot of work. We have lived through it, we have seen it, we have pushed through it. We are actually, we're doing a lot more work than our parents, than our anybody has done, and we're still doing it. Some of us still dealing with the same things that we know that needs to be broken, but when we're presenting certain things for it to be changed and is being rejected and is being denied, this is the level of divorcing that we have to accept. It's going to come with a lot of grief. It's going to come with a lot of hope. It's going to come with a lot of hopeless thoughts feelings. Is going to be hard. You're going to be blindsided, and you're going to be left in the dark about a lot of things. You're going to be gaslit, and you're going to be you're now going to be manipulated in so many different ways. And that is what I've been going through. That's what I've been experiencing. That is what I had to be honest about. Like, I had to be honest about how I wanted to like move forward when it came to pouring back into myself, and um like in choosing myself. It's one thing to choose yourself in a like, okay, so I feel like the two can go exist when you're in a relationship with someone, because we have all these different, all these different phrases: happy wife, happy life, or you know or even nowadays the men are talking about how you know they're expressing themselves a lot more about how these women in their life or in this world are just like BS or toxic whatever or whatever they are now calling us women, but not quite calling themselves any of the same thing, based off of their actions and what they've been experiencing. But nonetheless, seems to be as if we're complete like shit. But nonetheless, um, yeah. So, uh, granted, right? I do feel like the two can exist to where you choose yourself to, first of all, you constantly, the same way. Let me just make this statement before I go in. I tend to do that. I start the statement as if you know what it is that I'm about to say, and then I don't say it. And yeah, I need to stop doing that because I just caught it like 3 times. Anyways, and then I have to keep going back. But anyways, I feel as though the two can coexist where you choose and love yourself just as much as you choose your partner and love them. The two can definitely coexist, and I feel like that is how you become one. You are not becoming, but you have found this particular person that is a reflection of you. So some of the things that they are feeling or that they're going through is kind of it can become a conflict, but it's a whatever it is that you're doing or how you're doing it is because, like, rather than blaming, like, okay, you doing this, it's more so like looking at yourself and like, okay, what did I say or what did I do for this particular person to react or feel a certain way. That is how you become one, rather than choosing what it is of how it is how you want to blame someone else. But if they're a reflection of you, that is what that is. You choosing yourself is therefore choosing them as well, because they are a part of you. They How you do things, the decisions that you make do affect them, and vice versa, right? And on top of me feeling as though the two can coexist when that happens, you also do have a moment where it's like when you start to pay attention to certain things of how things are coming about and you choose yourself, you have to accept the consequences of how things are going to play out after that. If they already not working, if they're already not working though, Okay, because when are you going to choose you? When, like, I'm not saying that you're not choosing yourself. I'm not saying that you're not loving yourself. I'm not saying that you haven't been putting the work in. I'm just saying, when are you going to make the decision to, like, move? Bitch, get out the way. Get out the way. Move, bitch. Get out your way. Get out your way, ho, nigga. Okay, there's a lot of bleeps, but nonetheless, sis, bro, when are you gonna get out your way? When are you going to do that? Because no one else can't. But then again, you know, with having to make that decision, it really does come from the fact that, like, of the information that you was given, that makes you feel like it's kind of a setback, because now you don't want to be looked at a particular way or whatever when you do choose yourself. But when you choose yourself, when I tell you the type of freedom, the type of, like, it's so close. Like, when I tell you, so I think I'm gonna give a little tea. I think I'm gonna just put in like a description or something like that. I'm gonna give a little tea, but like, it'd be so close to you getting the things that you prayed for, and like, just imagine how God is waiting for you to use your stretched out faith to get to do and to get everything that He has waiting for you on the other side. So we already know that faith without works isn't dead. And the works that we need to do is to really make certain moves or whatever. Now, it's one thing or whatever to constantly ask God for, like, to ask God to give us the things that we want, and with Him knowing our heart desires and being abundant and being clear and being confident, right? And when we ask for those things, we too then need to ask for the wisdom to not only manage it, but to get the tools and to get the tools, the sources that we may not have or need to get there. And I think, and I'm not gonna lie, at one point that is where I felt like those were the pieces that I was missing to my prayer. Like, I was praying and actually reassuring God. Like, first of all, I'm reassuring the person that I already know what it is that I want, and He knows my heart's desires. And granted, He does want me to come to Him and to lay it out on the table and to lay it out on the altar, tell Him, and to be confident, write it out, make it plain, all of that, so that I can manifest and truly get the things that I want. But there was a moment where I also wasn't praying for the wisdom. Or we tend to forget that. Or it's vice versa. We're not even asking God for anything, but we're asking for wisdom. And He like, okay, I can give you wisdom and knowledge, but how are you going to use it? What are you going to do with that? How are you going to build on that? And then it's like, if you build and use everything that you have or whatever on wisdom, on faith, just like how love isn't enough, those aren't enough either. Everything works together. Everything coexists. Everything helps navigate, helps move and pushes you to get to that other side, whether it's greener, purple, redder, like, I don't know, bluer on the other side, whatever that side is, whether it's like you, whether it's you getting to the other side to really see the sunshine, to get out of this particular storm that you're in. Because, child, yeah, I was in different seasons. And yes, I was in different moments. But this was a place where I felt like I was going through a particular storm that I just didn't know how to, like, it seemed like it was a constant, like, whirlwind. It seemed like it was always one thing after another. And that's what it felt like or whatever for me. And sometimes, like, we don't realize that we really do have the tools. Like, we really do have. We have what it is or whatever to get out of what we're experiencing. We just don't have the energy and the motivation to actually to actually move. Sometimes we really do need like a push. Sometimes we do have to be reminded of who we are because we're getting so lost in the storm of what we're going through. We're getting lost in we're getting lost in these voices that are not our own. And that is what this is all about. Really triggering, like, that is how you trigger your trauma. Like, that is how you trigger it. If not all, that is how you trigger your trauma, is really making turning those voices like into background noise that is not yours and that is not God. Every other voice, it doesn't even matter anymore. And it's going to be hard when you're in a certain stage of your life. Like, if you're younger than like if you're I'll say if you're, younger than 21, you are you're doing nothing but paying attention to what it is that you're going through. And if you do have a great relationship with your mom or your dad, or even with both of your parents or whomever is in your circle to, you know, be like, if there is a foundation to where you guys have been able to exchange and being vulnerable, that is amazing. That is a form of, I feel like it's a part of gentle parenting, but I also feel like it's a level of like it's a form of emotion. It's an emotional safe space, not just for the parents but for the child. Like, we know at a certain age, like, we're paying attention at a certain age of what it is that we're going through and what we're experiencing. By the time we hit 25, that is when we're like, I've seen all these things happen, and if you were not in a position to where you was in an emotional safe space, you are more than likely going to see what it is that your parents was experiencing, or how your mom made you feel, or how your dad made you feel about certain things, and it's going to change your perspective on the opposite sex, or what your relationship is going to be like, or how you need to show up for people in your relationships. Is going to impact and influence that. It is. And then it's going to affect that another 10 when you get in your 30s and you have kids and you're trying to figure out, like you don't want certain things or whatever to happen again, or you don't want to project or impose onto your kids like what it is of what you've gone through and what you've experienced or whatever. And so now you got to switch up everything. But during this time, because you have been moving at a pace, and moving at a momentum of what it is that you think that you know, and you don't want to change that, you don't want to see it from a different perspective or whatever, you are closing yourself from opportunities of creating a healthy space for yourself. And then you're going to expect your kid to show up for you when they're the kid, or even the adult child. When it was really like, we all have responsibilities at a certain point. We all have to take care of certain things at a certain age. There are certain things that we can open up ourselves up to be vulnerable or to share. Um, yeah, to being vulnerable, to sharing, to experiencing. to make him healthy, to make him right again, all of that. But you have to be willing to like do the work. Like everybody has to be willing to be accountable in the role that they took in. And to be honest, if you're listening to this, it is your, like, if you're listening to this, it is now your responsibility to make the decision on what it is that you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And that could also essentially change your future for sure. Granted we're living today, and we only know what, like, we only know what's happening today. We don't know what lies for tomorrow, but at least we can say that, we chose ourselves today, and we making the decision to move forward despite how things have turned out, despite the message that was given to me, despite how the relationship has been all these years, whether it's been up and down. But I have the opportunity to change that, and whether that is me choosing myself for the better and stepping out, not like, and putting an exit to it, putting a done stamp, sign, sealed, delivered, like I'm done. Or, you know granted, I accept, maybe you are a person that did accept or whatever the message that was given to you, and you thought, and you had some particular hope that things can still work out and still can go exist with the person that you are having this relationship with. And then maybe, and if it works out, that is amazing. You were able to cultivate and shift something, and to change the narrative in that same breath. Like, granted, things didn't work out or whatever these years, but I'm just letting you know that this is what happened, and this is how I want to move forward. And if y'all two have made an agreement, whomever, if the parties have made an agreement or whatever to move forward in this particular way, to where it can change everything for the better, that is great, and that is amazing. And it's nothing but up from there, especially if God is in it. And then if it's not, that is another level of acceptance, and another level of responsibility that you have to move forward and to not let this impact or shape you. Granted, this can shape you negatively and this can shape you positively. But what are you going to do for it to be healthier for you, and who's connected to you that you want to see live in a bright, in a different manner? I want you and your younger self to be proud of one another about how you cultivated almost, if not everything that you have gone through, but you guys made it out, and you guys are the healthiest people ever that y'all have been, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, everything. There are times where you probably haven't been able to, maybe you never thought that you would get to this place, and you are right now. And maybe you don't know how to, like, accept it. Maybe you don't know how to move on from it. And maybe this video and what it is that I'm encouraging you to do is not enough, and you still don't know, or you're paying attention to how maybe I am, but you know it's still kind of hard. I encourage you to I encourage you to still choose yourself, and to I encourage you to choose yourself and to pray this prayer. You know, I pray that whatever season you're in right now, that God blesses and grants you with everything that you've asked for. If you're in this space where you're transitioning and you're shifting for something new, for something better, for something healthier, I pray that He gives you all of the sources, all of the tools, all of the love, all of the courage, all of the comfort, all of the confidence that you need to make the decision to either choose yourself or to leave, or when you stay, to give you wisdom so that you can make sure that you and whomever is a part of this, season or storm with you, that they are able to ride with you, that you're able to agree, and that this is not a hardship but an easy ship, and that however you move forward, however you navigate your problems, your issues, that it just from here on out becomes easy for you, that nothing nothing that may come your way is blindsided, manipulated, switched up, changed. I really do pray that when you make the decision to choose yourself, that you do that wholeheartedly, genuinely, and you have the strength and the courage to always see God in whatever it is that you're trying to do. It's hard, it's trying, it's frustrating, it's annoying, but the fact that you're doing the work to make you, your family, your friends, whomever, even if you do just choose you at the end of the day to make you better, that the fact that you were brave enough to step out and to still choose yourself, no matter what those voices in the back of your head was like, no matter what your past was like, no matter how it influenced you, no matter how much hurt and pain that you've gone through, no matter how much of a trial and error life has been for you, in the way that you always showed up for yourself and how God showed up for you, just shows you 10,000s, billions times more about how you really do want and seek the betterment to be the better, healthiest version of yourself. And I love that for you. And I pray that you continue to keep that same energy, even when it's even more trying than it was the last. And even if your storm that you're going through right now seems to be longer than it's ever been, that you'll see the sunshine on the other side. You will see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that your joy is coming from all of this sorrow that you're experiencing. It's not easy. And we've never been told that it was going to be easy. So you already know that part. But you got this. I can't wait for you to experience and be free from all of the things that have been holding you back in bondage, that has been keeping you and upkeeping you to remain set back from all of the things that you felt like you couldn't endure, or that you couldn't reach, or every time it came close, it just wasn't near for you to grasp. And when you did, it kept slipping through your fingers. This is the last of that. This is the last of that. This is the last of that. And this is to you triggering your trauma. This is to you choosing yourself. And this is to you choosing freedom. Love and blessings.